Hi everyone, this is Melvin coming to you from the comfort of my own home. I hope that this video finds you well and healthy and that you're ready to receive a word from God. There is a change of scenery. You're not going crazy. I did change the angle. I actually got a new webcam, and this allows me to just have my notes with me, so I'm able to share with you a bit more concisely. So I hope that you don't mind. And so let's get right to it. We're speaking today from James 1, 2-4. And this is one of those verses that makes you ask the question, how? How are we supposed to do this? Like, this is really difficult, especially the first verse. This is what it says. My brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of any kind, consider it nothing but joy. My brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of any kind, consider it nothing but joy. Now, how hard is that? I mean, trials, they're difficult. They're hard. How are we supposed to be joyful in those circumstances? Well, I think the answer lies in the way we define trials and joy. The way we define what it means to have a difficult circumstance, what it means to have joy. And sometimes I think we limit ourselves to thinking of difficulties or hardships just as hardships and difficulties. And that's the hardest part. How can we look at these things in a different light? Well, in the Greek here, there's the word that is used that is translated into trials. That word is also usually translated into tests or temptation, right? So this word has a different connotation than just hardship or difficulty, because this word has a lot of purpose, right? There's a lot of purpose within that hardship. So I would define trials as a hardship or a difficulty with purpose, because a trial is something you go through. A test is something you pass, right? A temptation is something you either succumb to or rise victorious above. And so there's a purpose behind trials. When we say, whenever you face hardship, the word hardship doesn't have purpose in itself. It's just hard. But whenever we face trials, now that has a purpose. Okay, so knowing that has a purpose, that's one thing that we have to learn. That's the first thing that we have to define. We also have to define joy, right? Joy is not something that is circumstantial, like happiness. Happiness is based on happenings, right? Things that happen to us: graduation, wedding, a baby being born, good days, snow days if you like them, or vacations, whatever it may be. Happiness is based on happenings. Joy, true joy, can only be based on Jesus Christ, who is our God. Joy is only provided by God, and joy is something that has nothing to do with circumstances. Understanding that difficult circumstances have a purpose, and that joy comes from God, and that joy doesn't have to do anything with our circumstance, now we can put this verse to practice. We can actually put this to practice. And there's a reason why he's telling us to do this. It's not just because he wants us to act happy during difficult times. No, there's a reason why. And it says it in verse 3 actually. The reason is because you know that the testing of your faith produces endurance. The testing of your faith produces endurance. And so there's this word again of testing, right? It's because those difficult circumstances have a purpose, is to test our faith to produce endurance. And so we need endurance for our marathon, right? Our lives are marathons, especially if you're a Christian and if you follow Jesus Christ. You know for a fact that this is not a short sprint. This is not something that you can do for a month and then stop. If you have given your life to Christ, you have said that my whole life is yours. Everything I am is yours. So it's a marathon that we're running. Don't we need endurance? Don't we need the endurance for the rest of the race? And what God is doing in difficult circumstances is building your faith and building that endurance in you so that you will be able to face things and be more rooted in His love, in Him and His joy than anything else. I think difficult circumstances have a way of showing us what our roots look like. They have a way of revealing to us our character flaws, what we're missing. And that's why this verse is a really amazing promise, because it doesn't just allow us to produce endurance for the rest of the battle. Look at verse 4. It says, and let endurance have its full effect, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking in nothing. I don't know about you, but I lack many things in my character, right? I lack many things, and I want to be able to build these things like patience and faithfulness, but I lack so much. So God uses those difficult circumstances to bless me, and I want to be mature and complete. So I'm gonna allow God to do that, and I'm not just gonna allow God to do that. I'm gonna be joyful, hoping for the light at the end of the tunnel, right? Because we all know that without hope, it's really difficult to be joyful as well. And you might be saying, okay, so this is just one big test. COVID-19, is it just one big test to the nation? I mean, why is God provoking so many deaths? Why is God doing so many bad things just to build some endurance in some people, or just to build their character? Why would God do that? Right? Okay, and so let me answer this question, because I know many people are asking themselves, why would God allow such things? And the truth is that even though God is sovereign and God has control over our lives, suffering is not something that we can avoid in this life. Actually, Jesus himself promised that we would suffer. He said it. He didn't say you would have a nice and beautiful life. He actually said you will suffer. A lot of you will suffer for my sake, for knowing me. And so suffering is something we cannot avoid. It's part of this corrupt world, and God does not like us to suffer, because He didn't design us for it. He actually didn't design us for the suffering that we experience in this life. He designed us to be in relationship with Him and to be in relationship with each other. And so God loves us so very much. He cares for us. What parent in their right mind what parent would want their children to get hurt? No parent would do that, right? No parent would want their own child to experience pain and suffering for no reason, at least. And so this is what God does. God sees our difficulties, and since He loves us so very much, He uses that to bless us. He uses that to build something in us that wasn't in there before. And so if God loves us so much, why do so many people blame Him for using even bad things that were intended to hurt us for our good? So the blame shouldn't be on God. You see, you have a choice whether you're going to have joy or not. And joy is a choice, because Jesus is a choice. In a difficult circumstance, or in a hardship, or in a trial, you don't come out the same. You come out either better or worse. You come out either beat down, or you come out with built up character or built up endurance. And that's and I'm not trying to simplify your situations, right? There are so many different complex scenarios and difficulties that are happening now. And I believe that even in your circumstance, God is working. God is working. And I want the endurance to have its full effect in you, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking in nothing, just like the verse says. So let's embrace this word. How do we find this joy? I would encourage you to spend time with God, spend time with your Lord, spend time in His Word, reading the encouraging words that He has to say to you. And I'm sure that God's going to bless you. And I'm sure that out of your difficult circumstances, you're going to come out on top. You're going to come out better. See, God's light, it just shines so much brighter in our darkest moments. So cling on to the light, cling on to God during this time, whatever you're experiencing. And I hope that as you receive this, you're also embracing Christ even more. And if you like this video, if you enjoyed the word that I'm speaking, or enjoyed hearing some of my thoughts, comment. Or even if you have a question, or you want to discuss something, comment on this page, and press the like button, and turn on your notifications, because this is a church channel and you'll be fed in so many ways if you're subscribed and you listen to the material we have here, the content. It's amazing stuff. So I invite you to do all those things, and I hope that you have a blessed week.